So, hey everyone, and welcome back to another Clip Source conversation. Today, joining me is Max Garshman, and he is a content producer at ESPN. And actually, I was thinking about it. You're also one of my oldest friends, if not my oldest friend, because we were like 5.
Oh my God! Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's so funny, and now we're doing this. So
yes, yeah. Who thought the blacktop would lead to here?
Yeah, crazy. But I have to ask, my first question is always, what show are you watching right now?
You know, that's funny. I just started watching Seinfeld. I've never gone through it. Like, I'd never watched it. And so, like, I'm just now going through it.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's been pretty good. Like, I've seen episodes and, like, I know, like, the big jokes or whatever. But I've never gone through the whole thing. So I just started watching it. And my next project is Breaking Bad, which I'm horrible at TV shows. So, like, all the big ones that I've never watched Game of Thrones. I'm horrible. So I got to get to Breaking Bad and then Game of Thrones. But yeah, currently it's Seinfeld.
I'm the same with you. I haven't done Game of Thrones. I've done Breaking Bad. Let me know what you think. And Seinfeld, I'm the same, like sporadically. So never.
Is Breaking Bad like one of the best shows like you've ever watched?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Breaking
everyone.
No. Oh, well, no.
Is this a hot take opinion? Because everyone I talk to is like, it's like one of the best. You have to watch it.
Well, I don't want to give anything away, but I feel like I was very stressed out watching it, is all I'll say.
Yeah. That's how I feel watching Euphoria.
Oh,
I can't get through it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if I'm watching something, I'm in it. So like when I see all the crazy stuff happening, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I'm sitting next to Zendaya as she's like going through it all, you know,
that's how I was. I take like mental breaks and I'm like, I'm just gonna take a week off and then I'll get back to it.
Yeah. I need a comedy if I'm going through something like that, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Oh my God. I can talk about like television shows for days. It's so
yeah. Oh, 100%.
But okay. And then before we get started on our topic today, which is building a sports audience in 2022, I thought it'd be fun for you to give like a little bit of a background of like how you got into your line of work.
And
just a little bit of that, a little bit of about you.
Sure. So at San Diego State, majored in journalism. You also went there. And my original like goal was to become a sports broadcaster. And then as I kind of saw what the career is like and the travel and the places you have to move in order to work your way up, I was like, I don't know if that's really for me. But I knew like since I was a kid, I always loved sports. So like ESPN was it, like all of ESPN, that's all I wanted to do. And that kind of started because when I was like 9 years old, my grandma was like, what do you want to do? And obviously like any kid playing sports, it's to be a professional athlete. Yeah. And she's like, I don't know, it's going to be really hard, being honest. And I was like, oh my God, what do I want to do? And after that, it's kind of like, how close can you get? And so like ESPN is kind of how close you can get if you're not going to get it, you know? So ESPN was always the goal. I did like a news internship, wrote for the school paper. And then finally, after like a year out of college and having like a couple miscellaneous jobs, ended up volunteering and making a connection. And that's how I got to ESPN. So I've been at ESPN now for 4.5 years, which is kind of crazy to say, both on the East Coast and now back on the West Coast. And what I do currently is I help make video content for SportsCenter, but I've had many different jobs, creating content for the NFL, various shows throughout ESPN.
Cool. That's such an awesome story. And it's so cool that you work for ESPN. I feel like it's such a legendary network. So it's like,
yeah, no, it definitely is. It's the one you remember, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
So to start off on our first question, when you're building a sports audience, obviously what you need is sports rights because people want to watch their favorite teams play and you want to be the one who is broadcasting those games. So is it like you guys have a really big collection of sports rights, right?
Massive. Yes. Massive. And we've only invested more money in it over the last 3 to 5 years, more so than we ever have. ESPN's strategy has definitely been live TV rights. And you don't necessarily need it to make the content. Like I can make a podcast about, you know, obviously sports, or someone can make a show and not have the clips. But to have sports rights is huge because at the end of the day, you're going to watch your favorite team play the game. And so then after that, it's just how can you also attract more people outside of that, right? So the NBA and ESPN covering it has done a great job as far as like sensationalizing all the drama, and the NBA has a lot of drama. Whether it's the players or trades or free agency, it's the most free flowing as far as there's just a lot of players have the most power and a lot of freedom in the league. And so there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of trash talk, there's a lot of back and forth. As we are speaking, Patrick Beverley, who was lost in the first round of the playoffs with the Timberwolves, just went on for about a couple hours going off about how Chris Paul is not that good of a player and has caused a lot of controversy, and social media is blowing up, and ESPN is loving it because all their clips and Stephen A. Smith is just growing. So while yes, sports rights is obviously ESPN's bread and butter, they also are trying to figure out, okay, like how do I keep the person engaged enough and even engaged in other teams and sports that they don't particularly love? How can I bring them to our network to watch our content, to share it on social media, to engage? So yeah, I don't know if I fully answered your question there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's
yeah.
interesting too, because it's not like, it's no longer just the game that's bringing people in, right? It's like conversations
100%.
around the sports and the players,
yes,
and the news about it.
100%. Yeah. And it's ESPN. The other thing that ESPN is, it's the only 24/7. It's the only one that's 24/7. I mean, like Fox Sports is 24/7, but it's 24/7 with content, like morning shows, then the games, then the post show, then SportsCenter, and it's just nonstop. And so they've really, since the start, have revolutionized how people intake sports and how it can be a constant rather than something that you just pick at. And the other huge part of that too is notifications. So if you are on an app, whether it's Twitter or the ESPN app or Fox Sports, you know when the game starts, you know when a player is injured, you know when, I mean, it's just constant. Like, you know when a player is going to appear on a show. So it's definitely in a world where everyone's trying to grab your attention. The sports world has done a pretty good job over the years at grabbing it at a consistent rate.
Yeah. And in terms like, so what you're saying, like with notifications and stuff, I mean, and social and everything blowing up, is that like how you also like help people with like discovery and like other things that would keep them watching and like things that they didn't know they maybe liked, like a sport that's a bit more?
I mean, I think so 100%. Like social media is how, unless you have a friend, like obviously word of mouth is huge as well, but social media or like TV shows, like for example, I'm not someone who's super knowledgeable in Formula One racing. It's just not something that I'm super knowledgeable in. However, I have a few friends that are into it, and there's a great show on Netflix that if you want to get into it, it's really good. I've heard, again, bad with TV shows, so I haven't watched it. But that's another one on the list. But through social media, I've learned so many different things about the sport. Certain rules have been passed down. You can't wear jewelry this year, so drivers have been they've been wearing excessive jewelry, just trying to like protest and like come back with it. And it's only grown immensely since the Netflix show. Like they've seen numbers skyrocket as far as popularity, especially in the United States, because it's already such a popular sport around the world. So essentially what you're seeing is, yes, obviously you want to watch your live TV and your games, but if you want to create a bigger audience, you have to find these different avenues. And F1 has found a wonderful avenue in the Netflix show, and that's only garnered more popularity through social media.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
That is interesting. And that's interesting thinking about like documentary almost as like a vehicle for driving more fans to the actual sport.
Yes, 100%. Well, and the greatest part about the F1 show, and again, I haven't watched it, but I've seen clips in the general, but what I get from it is you're hearing everything. So you're hearing the guy, you're seeing the practices, you're seeing the interactions between drivers, between the team. How can we make this car better? You're just, the inside access is the biggest part. And so that's why you see a show like, oh my God, I'm forgetting the name, but it's basically, and it's an NFL, they pick an NFL team every year. They have an HBO show. God, I can't think of it. But anyway, they pick a team every year and they have inside access. So you're watching them practice, you're seeing guys get cut, you're watching all these different things, and it brings this human element to it that I think is really important. And I think you're only going to see expounded over the next 5, 10, 15 years, because that's really what we want. It's like, I can watch players on a screen and be like, okay, I know everything that you do on a court or a field or the ice. But now, if you give me a little peek behind the curtain and you let me like hear what LeBron James is saying in the locker room, or you let me hear what Lionel Messi is saying to his teammates, like, it just makes it that much cooler. And it brings people that aren't that interested. It's like, oh, that I can relate to him. You know, that's really all we want is relatability. Like, as humans with content, we just want relatability. Like, the reason that you love a show or that anyone like is interested in anything content wise is because you relate to it in some way. Yeah. And so that's what the goal of I think the future of sports content will be.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of like consuming content, like if you think of linear versus like streaming, is it what do you think attracts more people on each platform? Because usually still like linear is king for live content.
Yes, 100%.
And then
so go ahead.
No. Yeah, take it away.
No. So it's funny that you say that, because Bob Chapek, who is the president of ESPN, or no, excuse me, not the president, the CEO of Disney, came out and said that he sees ESPN becoming a fully streaming platform not too far in the future, which is a very interesting concept, just given the fact, like, don't get me wrong, cable's lost so many viewers and they're going to continue to lose viewers. But just interesting as far as there's so much live TV through cable, and applications I don't think have gotten to the point where they're enough bug free to create the same experience that cable has. Like when you're seeing, like, when you stream something 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10, you're always on a little bit of a delay than what the game is, right? So like, or than what cable is, I should say. And not only that, but you see with every app, I mean, any streaming app besides like typically, but I mean, Netflix and HBO have their own bugs, but especially when you're live streaming a sporting event, there is a lot of pause, or like all of a sudden there's a commercial, or if your program was supposed to go from, let's say a game was supposed to go from 4 to 6:30, but now it goes to overtime, then they're like, oh, your program's done. It's like, no, the game's still going. Like on TV, if it was scheduled from 4 to 6:30 and went over, you would just keep watching TV. You wouldn't even notice. Yeah. But on an app, the app is like, well, I'm only supposed to be open until 6:30. It'll just shut down. So then you have to go back into the app and the most crucial parts of the game. So there's still I think there's still many fixes that need to happen with streaming before it becomes the new cable. But as far as like attracting a younger audience, typically a cheaper avenue than obviously having cable. But you're seeing, if you have enough streaming services, it'll equal cable. And you're seeing prices rise to equal cable. But yeah, as far as attracting a younger audience, streaming is the way to go. And you're seeing Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, they're all in the game now. Apple TV's doing Major League Baseball games. Facebook and Twitter have a lot of WNBA games. So you're seeing a lot of live stream through social media, which is only their goal is to try to increase interaction as well throughout the website as they're doing that. But yeah, the future is definitely streaming. Cable, it's going to take a while before streaming can be as efficient as cable.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of like consuming content, the importance of having an app and linear, taking out of not even social, but having the accessibility to like view.
To have both right now?
Either way, yeah. That's like important for sports fans, or is it not that important yet, but it's going to be?
To have both linear and streaming. I think it's vital to have linear and streaming right now. We will eventually get to a world where it is just streaming. Like streaming will eventually figure out all the kinks, I believe, to where it'll basically be our new cable. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's vital in the world right now to have both. If you don't have both, then you're not in the game. Yeah, like you're just not in the game. You need an app, even if it's not for like notifications, just so that I can stream the live event if I'm not currently there.
Yeah. Okay, and then in terms of marketing tactics, so like you already mentioned, like getting people engaged on the social feeds and getting people watching stuff and everything like that. What are the biggest marketing tactics? Like you already said, like sensationalizing things and like blowing up stories and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
the biggest thing in sports is really to get people to pay.
Yeah. Drama.
Yeah.
Everyone loves drama. Like, I don't, you look at reality TV. I mean, it is amazing to me. One, it's amazing that American Idol is still going on to me.
Yeah.
Right? Just given the era, The Bachelor, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Yeah, exactly. Everyone loves a little bit of reality TV. Even like Love is Blind, biggest Netflix. Like everyone loves drama. And sports is literally always it's reality TV. There's always drama. There's always something going on in the off season. There's always a live event that is cool besides maybe during the like late summer months when it's just baseball and it's like the middle of baseball, so it's not postseason yet. But even then there's like off-season drama, like, oh, is he going to leave his team? Is he going to do this? Ooh, he posted a social media post, or ooh, she posted a social media post. That's cryptic. Like maybe she wants to leave. Like there's so many, everyone's just second guessing things. And so it's this, no one's done it better than the NBA. The NBA let's play. I mean, and it's crazy. It's really remarkable. And even like, it's so bad now that like liked tweets, like if someone likes to tweet, like for example, like Deebo Samuel, who's this player that asked out from the 49ers, deleted all the Niners pictures off of social media, unfollowed the Niners. And then about a week ago, he followed the Niners and everyone's like, oh, is he going to sign a contract now? Like that's the biggest story. So it's like, as far as I know this isn't necessarily content, but
it is. I mean, it's like organic content that just comes up.
Content on social media. And then guess what everyone's talking about? Oh, well, he followed him on social media. So I guess that means that they might be having a contract or this might be that. And so it just gives you all this reactions. Like social media has just, it's the number one, like it's the number one creator of content besides the actual events.
Yeah.
Like these guys just go home and they tweet something and everyone's like, oh my God. And it could be the simplest thing. Like if LeBron just tweets like, wow, Luka Doncic was amazing tonight, close out game 7, like ESPN's going to pop that up in a highlight. They're going to pop it up on the TV. It might not be a topic the next day, but it'll be popped up. So it's just the constant access and the constant just feeds. If you just refresh your feed, another athlete will be saying something, is huge. But it's just as far as like ESPN creating content, they've done a really good job at sensationalizing a lot of things that I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is going to be great. It's a playoff game.
Yeah. And
then they're like, okay, well, it's not just a playoff game. Like Chris Paul's legacy is on the line tonight. Like his whole legacy is on the line on this game, And so like it has gotten so much bigger than it used to be. And people eat it up. People want to know. It gives people a reaction when you sensationalize it. To counter that, I do think that people like JJ Redick, for example, former NBA player, for those who don't know, has come on to some of these platforms and has basically told these people that sensationalize it, like, this is what it is. Like, you're just dramatizing it, this, that. And people have loved it. People on social media have loved it. And they're like, wow, how refreshing. Look at this, look at that. So it has, and this is not just with sports, with news, the political parties, I mean, with anything, it's super sensationalized now. And so I do think, and I hope, but I really do think that it will begin to come back to the middle more.
Yeah.
And I know we are in this crazy age of any information can be out there, sports, whatever. But I do think that we will come back to more of the center and there will be a little bit less sensationalizing, a little more, okay, this is just what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's great for content.
Yeah.
It's great for content.
But with you like creating sports content, so do you have to sensationalize like plays and like things that happened and like cut things to make them more big, or is it just the stories around the players and the stories around the game?
So I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Like, yes, like I'll create like a like the news will dictate it, right? So, if I'm hyping up like the Super Bowl, it's like the Super Bowl doesn't really need to be hyped up,
Yeah.
but it will be like if I make a piece about it, though, there's going to be dramatic music. You're going to like feel something, because it's going to be like, it's going to feel like a trailer to this epic event. And so in a way, yes, I am sensationalizing it in the fact that literally I'm trying to make you feel something and be like, oh my God, I have to watch this game. Or if this player's playing amazing, I'm going to make him look like the best player in the world.
Yeah.
Like this guy's gone off. Look how hot he is right now. And just take all these clips and tweets and stuff like that. So in a way, yes, it is a little bit sensationalizing, but it's also literally what's happened.
Yeah.
Like literally, like this guy has played out of his mind for a month. Like he is really that guy. And so it's a little bit of both. I would say it definitely takes a little bit of both. But the goal of any piece of content is to make you feel something.
Yeah.
And it's to make you feel something more than what you thought the original thing was.
Mm-hmm.
So like if a player just says like, yeah, game 7, that's where legacies are born. It's like, I'm going to take that quote along with like 4 other quotes and music and like crazy cool shots. And then it's going to have this dramatic music and it'll finish with like game 7 is where your legacy is born. It's like, boom. And like, he just said it normally, but I put all this music and sound design. And so there's a little bit of both.
Yeah. But I agree. And it does it. Like when you watch that, you feel something and you feel the music and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's so much bigger than you think it is. Yeah. But it's hard because now everything is becoming like that. And then like all the playoff games are bigger than they used to be. And oh my gosh. And it's like, it's almost like, like you said, like maybe it's a bit too much now or like a tiny bit, but then like, how do you back off? Because now everything's so heightened and you're competitive against other people. Like you can't really back off anymore. You have to.
No. Well, and that's a great point. And that's why you look at all these different media companies and organizations and they haven't. Yeah. They've just kept going because it causes a reaction. They get more money, more people view it. So I don't think it's necessarily, I don't know if it's a back off, but I think it's like I said, like a guy like JJ Redick, who's a former player. I think you're going to see more people come from, and not just like with sports and like former players saying X, Y, and Z. Like Draymond Green, who's a very controversial player, depending on if you like him or not, polarizing, I should say. On his podcast, he's like, the future, you won't have people saying, archaic things without a player being like, no, that's actually not it. Like, so, and I think you're going to see that as far as news organizations go. I think it's going to get to a point where it's like, okay, what is really the source? Like, can I actually get like a unbiased doctor to talk to me about whatever, for example, COVID requirements or whatever? And I think you will see that more, just because it has been so sensationalized, and you're starting to see these people come on and you're like, oh, he's a breath of fresh air. Yeah. Like it's just a little bit of, oh yeah, it's not like that. Or like, that's actually is what it is. So I think the counteracting to that will be professional people in their field. Now there will always be organizations that will sensationalize things and keep things at whatever and not invite those people on or invite experts on who do have biases. However, I just see it coming more back to the mean, rather than these polarizing ends.
Nice. And it's funny, I was just thinking about your story about football guy, and you're like, oh, it's his legacy game and da 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 da.
Oh, Chris Paul, yeah, basketball, yeah. Is it literally like?
I was thinking about golf, and you think about like whenever Tiger comes back to a tournament or something, and like you'll read the news, and like I won't even know who won. It'll just be like, oh, Tiger did not do good this time.
Yes,
it is like
100%.
That's the story. Like it's not even about the sport anymore half the time. It's about like
it's about the players.
Yeah.
Well, and that's been the biggest thing over the last 10, 15 years, probably 10 years, is that the sports have expanded because people are interested in the player. I mean, there are people that don't like basketball that love LeBron James. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's people that don't like golf that love Tiger Woods. Yeah. And it's only gotten more so because of social media. Like literally, you can have a player like have like one cool social media moment, a funny TikTok. Oh, he does this, this, and that. Someone's like, oh, look at this guy. Like, and you might not even like this work. And you're like, oh, I love that guy.
Yeah.
And then like, you follow him on social media and then you're like, oh, he's playing at 7. I could turn it on and watch him at 7. But I'm not rooting for the team. Like, cause he's on that team.
Yeah.
Then I'll root for it. So like you've seen LeBron is like the number one person of this because he's been on three teams and he's gone back to one. So he's had 4 different tenures. Fans have just followed LeBron. They're not a fan of an actual team. They're just a fan of LeBron, which is great for sports because it keeps all these people engaged and it adds drama. And even if you don't like LeBron, guess what? You care about where he goes.
Yeah.
You care about what team he goes to. You're going to watch him because he's one of the best players of all time.
Yeah.
So it's created all this drama. And people love the drama.
Yeah, they do. It's true. I know. And I think about when the Golden State Warriors, like when they kill it and you're like, Curry.
Yes. 100%.
You're just like, I mean, I love the team, but he's such a fun player to watch. And
I love Stephen Curry. Yes. It's become so player oriented, which has been, like I said, it's great. It's great for sports because it's getting people that normally wouldn't be in it. And you can follow them on social media and then you're like, oh, I'll watch a Warrior playoff game because Curry's in the playoffs. So it's been great. It's been great for sports and expanding.
Yeah, the player stories though. I mean, that is like, it's a huge marketing tactic now. It is.
Yeah. And the other thing is you can relate a lot more to a person than a team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's why people are into it. Because it's like, oh, I have access to him on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat.
Yeah.
So
I know
him.
him.
Life. Yeah. But that's the thing. It makes you feel like you know him. And that's what you're gonna want. That's what F1's capitalized on, and HBO with their Inside the NFL is just getting to know it on a human element. Like that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing you're gonna see in the future is we just want access to your life, whether it's on the court or off. So it's fascinating.
Do you think that there's any other way that you could increase sports viewers than besides blowing up stories and anything that we mentioned besides?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's just exactly what I just said. I think it's access. And that's hard to do in this world because a lot of athletes are like, yo, you have a lot of access.
Yeah.
I tweet, I post on Instagram, I mean, people really don't use TikTok, like I do all these different things. Like, why would I want to, I don't need to do this interview or I don't need to do this thing. But I really do think the future and athletes are capitalizing way more on this now. And there's so much better business people now than previous generations. Obviously, social media's made this possible and the podcast world. But I think it's access. I don't think people realize that people would literally sit there and if it was like, here's a 20-minute show about what LeBron did on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to watch it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what does LeBron do? What does he do? Besides, okay, he works out, but I already knew that, but like, oh, he's interacting with his family. I want to see that, you know? And whether they like it or not, it's back to relatability. And the access part is just humanizing people that we dehumanize a lot. I think I really do like the sports world. There's a lot of dehumanization just because you don't really know them as a person. Like NBA a little bit more excluded from this because they've done such a good job. But there are, like for example, last night the Suns, they were guaranteed Phoenix fans who like sent horrible messages to like the team, they're like different players on the team being like, you just fucking ruined my life. Like you lost this game. I mean, there's like a very like dark side of this thing, but that's because they're doing that because they don't think of them as a human. They just think of them as like, you're a product that's supposed to make me happy.
Yeah.
And so I think that the future, this accessibility and the more that there's a human element and it doesn't have to be, please tell me how you dunk a ball or this or that. It's like, what music do you listen to? Yeah. What foods do you like to eat? Like if you and another athlete are hanging out and you just film that for like 20 minutes, everyone would love to watch it. You know what I mean? We love to see it because it's reality TV. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the future. It's going to be this access, this behind the scenes access. and it's going to be this humanization and relatability. And I think it'll be twofold. I think it'll really benefit. I think it'll really benefit the fan as far as like it'll humanize a lot of these people that we just see on screens.
Mhm.
And I think it'll help the athlete as far as like just like feeling like they're connected also even more. They'll be more connected than ever with the fans, and just different people around the world. So I really do think that when you look at it, access, behind the scenes access will be the biggest thing.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. In terms of like access and stuff, just in your opinion, what platform right now, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, what do you think is the best for sports, or is it all of them?
I mean, they all have their own special niche, I guess, as far as like they bring out different personalities through each platform, but Twitter is the most.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't have to be a photo. I can just pick up my phone and do that as an athlete. And all of a sudden everyone cares about what I just said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like literally LeBron could be like, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are the best sandwich. And it would get like 50,000 retweets and 200,000 likes. And like people would be commenting like, no way, like it's not. And there would be like debates on it. And it's just so quick. So like if a player gets injured, Twitter's gonna be the first to know. If a player gets traded, Twitter's the first to know.
Yeah.
If a player signs somewhere, if something happens, anything that happens, Twitter is always the first to know, before TV, before anything. Yeah. It's rare that like you'll see a bottom line like breaking news, but it'll be like 5 minutes after the tweet has come out. So like Twitter is the number one for sports as far as like engagement. And it's where everyone wants to get in the debate.
Yeah.
Like LeBron's the best player of all time. No, Jordan's the best player of all time. And now we have now everyone, Kobe should be in the conversation. It's just, it's nonstop. The thing that Twitter has done is it's made everyone feel like their opinion matters.
Yeah.
Newsflash, it doesn't, but it makes them feel, like it does. It does. And so it's like this cool thing because it creates all this content and debate and all this different stuff. And it's also like kind of like, all right, this is a little too much. Everyone thinks their opinion matters. It's not that big of a deal, but yeah, Twitter by far. But I've noticed that people who aren't necessarily a fan of sports, they follow athletes though on Instagram. That's like their favorite thing because it's like, oh, okay, I don't really care about LeBron as a basketball player, but like, damn, him and his daughter are so cute together. I just want to see a photo. I just want to see them interact.
Yeah.
I just want to see, like Dwayne Wade and his kids and you see these family, like you actually see their like growth on Instagram. You see them grow as a human being, like literally on Instagram. So I've noticed that if you're not really into sports, Instagram is your like haven, and you get all the clips anyway on Reels, like you see all the clips anyway. Like if you follow Steph Curry and you like his posts, guess what's going to come up? Other Steph Curry posts, so like you end up seeing everything you want to see. And yeah, so they all have their own little thing. But as far as just like immediate, I have access to this person and they're talking and I can pretend like I'm interacting with LeBron, Twitter.
Yeah. I don't have Twitter because it's
good for you
because of all like it's so fast and there's so many things that always pop up and you just
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's all the time.
It's a lot.
But I get you're obsessed too, and it's like information all the time. Then it's like, oh my gosh, how amazing.
I have once or twice done a like a dry January with social media and Twitter specifically. And like, it is, wow. You feel so much better, you really do. But it's like in my world, you kind of have to stay updated. So it's like, I need it. But you genuinely do feel better if you're off Twitter for a little bit.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Instagram sometimes.
Same thing,
Yeah. That was so interesting. I just think it's interesting that like this conversation, because I was kind of starting it off with like sports rights and how to get people to the game and stuff like that. But it's almost like everything. I mean, it's important, and I'm sure like everything that we're talking about, like it does increase viewers to the live games. but
For
still
sure.
it's amazing just the content around, like you said, the players and the stories and stuff. It's like almost
Right.
bigger
It's so much bigger now. And you look, especially in the last 5 years, and this isn't just with sports. It's just with everything across the board.
Yeah.
Like if you're a dentist, like you have to create content now.
Yeah.
Like you do. Like you actually, like you got to come up with, you know what I mean? You have an Instagram.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, check out, Elmwood Dentistry. Like, oh, okay, great. You know what I mean? Like everyone has content because they know it's going to bring people in.
Yeah.
And like, and people have just gotten famous that have been like, small companies, or like, look at this recipe I make. Come get it at, East 75th Street. Blows it up. It's crazy. It's crazy where content's gone. And now everyone's forking up the money for it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Definitely. And then I feel like we've covered a lot of stuff. I'm trying to think if I have anything else.
We have. I talk fast. So
like we're just getting through it right now.
Mm-hmm. This is just one side note. I do love how like there are certain people who love the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like I love the Olympics, right? As a sports fan, you love the Olympics, right? But there are people that literally like the Olympics is their like sports, and then that's it. So like every couple of years they get the summer and winter, whatever. We live in a country, we have the mini Olympics literally the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, and the NFL, which is more American.
Yeah.
Soccer being the only one excluded that's not a mini Olympics. We literally have the best players in the world playing the sport. Mm-hmm. It is the Olympics every day. Yeah. They're from all over the world and they're here. And it's the highest level of it. So it's just like, I don't know how you're not into it if you watch the Olympic, obviously the event part I get, but like you're watching the best players in the world do it right here. Anyway, you can edit that part out.
It's funny that with the Olympics, I feel like, because like you think about like you said, like daily games, like, I don't know, football, soccer, whatever that you watch all the time and keep up with. But like, I don't know about you, but like swimming, gymnastics, those type of track and field, like those type of sports that like I at least like really focus on in the Olympics.
Yes.
You don't watch those every day, which is interesting. No. Do you have an opinion on why that is? Like, why do you think those,
money,
like I feel
marketing.
Like, yeah,
this is money in the marketing. Like they probably don't have enough money to market it as well. But even like look at what social media did with like Sha'Carri Richardson. Like she blew up.
Yeah.
She was everywhere.
Yeah.
And excuse me, Sha'Carri Richardson, my bad.
I'm just like, oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah. No, I mean like she blew up because she had these little like track clips after the game and like talking, and like her story is crazy. And but then that garnered all these people. Oh, look at, and every year you get the person, the swimmer, the gymnast, but college gymnastics is another one that not a lot of people know about because it's on like SEC Network or like just like a niche channel. What's it called? Friday night flights, I think they call it.
Okay, I have no idea what that
is. So it's literally just like like Auburn versus Alabama in gymnastics. Is it Friday Night Flights? I really hope I have that right. But anyway, and it's awesome. Like college gymnastics is awesome. There's just not the NCAA is not going to promote it.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be that much behind it. So if they get more marketability and more money, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is gymnastics and swimming too. I mean, like if it was on and you knew more about the people, then you would watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So it can totally happen. It's just whether the money will come in to make it happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. I feel like I can honestly, like, I could just keep going because I like have more things in my mind.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've like done really good.
Yeah. For sure.
In my head, I was thinking about Cheer. Have you seen Cheer on Netflix?
No, but that's another great one. That's another great Netflix show that got a lot of people into the
Yeah, and then you're like cheerleading is like a sport. My God, the things they do, it's insane.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, if you watch any of those, because like ESPN has a crazy amount of content, but they show the cheerleading competition every year, like national high school cheerleading competition. It's insane.
That's so funny.
It's insane, yeah. And you never know when it's on. It's just like, oh, here it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's actually in the dead of summer when like you're, like no one's there, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'll turn this on for a second.
Yeah.
And it's like, 5 flips in the air, people being thrown around. It's like coolest thing ever.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So that's another one though. Like cheer was huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that for sure like brought a lot more popularity to the sport because everyone was like,
100%.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's just going to bring people to be like, oh yeah. I mean, look at Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Everyone was buying chess. Like you looked at it was like a chessboard sold like 800% more. Like everything was up like hundreds of percentages because a show literally showed it was a great show. I love that show.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone was into chess.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's all because of content.
Yeah.
And chess wasn't even sponsoring that.
I know.
It was just about chess. And all these chessboard makers are like, oh my God, thank you. They're making so much money.
Finally, they get it.
Yes. Oh my God. It took hundreds of thousands of years to get here. But yeah. And so like all these people got into chess because the Queen's Gambit.
It's so funny too, just about that. I don't know if you read that, but the person that wrote the screenplay, I read that he like took him like 20 years to get that made into a show because everyone was like, no one's going to watch anything about chess.
Yeah.
And then
I did hear about it. Who did the screen?
I
can't remember who did. I remember seeing that clip though.
Yeah, I don't remember who did it, but I just remember reading that and I was like, that's crazy. That was such a good show. But I feel like that's with sports too, where it's like, oh, no one's gonna like this for like the smaller sports.
Right.
And even like
no one's gonna watch. Yeah, no one's gonna watch a race. Elite race car driving. Yeah. Formula One. Like, why would anyone watch that? Oh, everyone likes it. Like, because you're showing. For them, you're showing inside access. For the Queen's Gambit, this is an exquisite show and a great story.
Or even now, like localized content, like we were talking about before when you were saying that like grandparents can now watch even, on baseball.
Oh yeah, ESPN spends so much money on content. Like they have D3 softball.
Yeah. So
like you can just go on. It's a grandparent in Topeka, Kansas.
Yeah.
Can watch their kid in. I don't know, Texas, Southwest Texas, play softball. Like, how incredible is that? It's wonderful.
But it's so niche. Now there's like all these like niche audiences too. So it's like there's so many little holes that you can dip into in sports. It's not just main ones anymore. Now it's all these like tiny ones.
Right. And outsourcing has become such a big deal as far as like outsourcing content to other production companies, So like for that event, probably they're just like, hey, if you set up a couple cameras, like we'll just broadcast it on here. We both win, bada bing, bada boom. So yeah. So I mean, and I think that's a great thing.
Yeah. And just finally, do you think that like sports is going to lose any viewers or anything because of all the competition with other content that's like exploded, with all the streaming platforms and stuff?
Yeah. That's a great question. No, I don't think so. And it goes back to well, let me phrase it this way. There will be sports that will lose viewership over time.
Yeah.
But there's going to be other sports that gain it. So I don't think sports as a whole will go down. It's just going to move from one sport to another. Mm-hmm. Like I Major League Baseball has a lot of issues, especially like if we get to a point in the next 5 to 10 years where we just all move to streaming. I mean, most of us in our generation are only on streaming. Yeah. We don't have cable. But I don't know, Major League Baseball, it's going to have a tough time.
Yeah.
Like they already have such a tough time marketing their game and their players. Hockey, same way. Like they just don't put enough money and they don't know the right ways to market their players and the game in general. So you could see those take a dip. You're going to see WNBA. You're going to see the WNBA go up.
Yeah.
It's basketball and they have all the drama. They have all the social media. It's the same thing. There's just not enough money into it, but more money's coming into it. Yeah. So you're going to see that explode. But overall as a whole, no, you're not going to see sports go away. It's just too much of a, there's just too much of a human element in sports. Like, even if you don't like it, like, for example, there's a lot of Americans that don't like soccer. Mm-hmm. If you watch a World Cup game and you see like 100,000 people in a stadium rocking, or you watch, you don't even have to watch a World Cup game. You can watch La Liga, Premier League, whatever, Champions League. I really, how you don't feel something as a sports fan, just seeing them go crazy when a goal is scored or just hearing the cheers. There's just a human element there that I don't think will ever go away.
Well, cool. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I had so much fun talking to you.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
And hopefully you'll come back on later on for another conversation.
Yes, I would love to.
Great. Well, thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Okay, I'll stop recording, but thanks for doing this in the real.
Of course.